to know. We are the show. You want to know. It's time to talk to yo.
Hey, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and we come your way every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 o'clock, as well as Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. for your Sunday morning talk block. That's right, that's me at 6 o'clock. Mike Wade joins us at 7 o'clock. Peter Blute at 9 o'clock, and Jerry Doherty jumps in there around 9:30 for a little while with Peter Blute. It's a great Sunday lineup. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. That's how you reach into the studio for two-way talking conversation as I broadcast from a secure bunker, non-disclosed location. Just kidding. Broadcasting from a home studio, the Cameo Studios right now, but everything works the same for you folks. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. We are live streaming on the TuneIn app as well. So just if you don't have TuneIn, it takes seconds to download it on your app. Put in WCRN once you do. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and it's easy for you to find. It just pops right up there, and it's on your device all the time, and you can listen to all of the great programming on WCRN. We are live streaming the show. It doesn't matter that we're not in the WCRN studios, but you can check out the auxiliary studio on Facebook and Twitter, Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. And we're also on my YouTube page, the Joe Mangiacotti Show, my LinkedIn page, and we're on Twitch TV. Yeah, Twitch TV. That's cool. Joe M Show. That's what it's there. We have a great show lined up for the next hour, and coming in actually at the bottom of the hour in the second half of the show, folks, we're going to be joined by Kathy Lundgren, and she is the outreach coordinator for the Bay Path Humane Society out of Hopkinton. And what you may know or may not have realized is just a couple of days ago, April 30th, was the National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day. And they had some great success. They had about a dozen dogs adopted out of the Bay Path Center in Hopkinton, but there's still 24. There's still about 24 puppies in that shelter, and they need homes, and they need your help. Now, you know that we do a Teddy, right? Teddy Goodpup, my buddy and partner here in life. He has his feature, Find a Forever Home for Teddy's Friends, and we feature dogs in a shelter weekly. Most of the time, they are probably at Bay Path, by the way. And then we put the pictures and the story about the dog and the link right on his Facebook page, and we will do that. And when Kathy joins us, we'll talk about how the day went. We'll talk about adoption and foster care. We'll profile a puppy. They just got a group in from Korea, and I'll let her get into all that, but it's just fascinating. Anyway, that's coming up in the second half of the show, folks. Sometimes we need to take things that are a little lighter and not so serious all the time, because this was a horrible weekend around the country. Crime is out of control, right? We had the gentleman get shot in the head in Manhattan while he was trying to get into his Mercedes, right? Dave and Buster's, there's a stabbing there, and the guy, the suspect there, he's out from previous charges. And the man was killed in a stabbing during an argument. In New Orleans, a bar shooting, right? Breaks out. 6 people injured, right? And one of the guys arrested there, he has 2 counts of attempted murder. And the charges were dropped by the city's liberal DA there. And murders in New Orleans are up 42%. New York City also, right? Stats are up. It's out of control, folks. Now the New York Police Department is saying, what we're going to do here is we're going to concentrate on the killing window, right? This 5-hour window where basically all the shootings take place between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's the danger zone. That's the danger zone. So they're going to start really concentrating on that. Well, okay, thank you very much for that. But seriously, that's the answer, right? After you've defunded the police in New York by billions of dollars, you did away with one of the most effective anti-crime organization or units in there, right? Was the gang unit where there were plainclothes and they had CIs and they infiltrated. They knew who has the guns. They knew who had the illegal guns, because when we talk about the guns, folks, really, please, if you do nothing from listening to me over these years, is understand law-abiding citizens who go through all the steps and follow the law, take the course, apply for a gun permit for a concealed weapon in Massachusetts. They join a gun club. Maybe they join GOAL or NRA. They practice gun safety. They go to the range to make sure that they can handle it and they're proficient. They're not the trouble. They're not the problem, folks. You think that when we talk about these shootings and 15, 16 in Detroit or Chicago and New York over a weekend, that the people who are using those guns are registered to those people. They're clean guns, that they're registered. They know who they belong, and these people have a permit, and they're law-abiding citizens. Everywhere else in their life, they're law-abiding, except for this. No. And the anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment people always focuses on the gun. Well, here's the trick, folks. Focus on the criminal. Focus on the criminal and stop letting people out when they commit a serious crime. New York and Queens, right? A Chinese food delivery man, he gets gunned down while trying to do his job. Now, the business owners, and let me tell you, to the Boston business owners, New York City, LA, San Francisco, although San Francisco and LA, even the business owners might be too far gone. But the point is, you're the business community in these cities. You're the business leaders. You pay lion's share of the taxes. You need to demand safety. You need to demand public safety and police protection. But these business owners along Madison Avenue and so forth, they're dimming their lights and locking the doors. I said this a while ago, folks, that what you're going to see is every store is going to start acting like a jewelry store. You know what I mean? That you go into the little foyer and you can't just walk into a jewelry store. There's even some pawn shops that work this way. They've got to be able to look at you. They size you up, honestly, totally profile you, and then decide whether they hit the buzzer and you're allowed into the store. And they have security there. And one of the problems with these things is they can't lock you in the store for fire regulations and stuff like that. But they can control the flow of traffic in, and they can control the number of people in the store at any given time. Okay, that's one way of doing it. And I said, this is where we're headed. This is where we're headed. We are headed to a situation where all the stores are going to be by appointment only, and they're going to be locked doors that they have to be opened or you have to be buzzed in. And I even think, I project, or as Oracle here, when you think about it, if you get down to that point, storefront may not be desirable in the retail business anymore for a couple of reasons. One is, if you are a storefront and you have all those glass walls and windows, you're more susceptible to them being broken and broken into, and people can see in and see what's going on in there and how many people in the store and watch everything. And I think you're going to see businesses say, well, you know what? Why am I going to pay first floor, highly visible rent where everything's by appointment and controlled access? I can rent space deeper into the building or on the second or third floor, elevated, right? What does it matter? Where you can't bust in the front plate glass window, where you can't kind of charge my store from the street. You can't charge a store that you have to go up a flight of stairs or two or get into an elevator and all that, right? It's not possible. It makes it very difficult anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what is to come with a lot of these stores. Madison Avenue has already done it. They've been robbed so many times that they're like, screw this. We're locking the doors. We're controlling the access. And we're going to dim the lights. We're not going to be this big beacon that you can see what's going on. Overall, year to date, serious crime in New York is up 43%. And what you have to think about, folks, is when we say, oh, it's up 43% for this year, 2022, where it had gone up 50% in 2021. That's on top of that. It is out of control, folks. Seriously out of control. Crime is happening. It's these DAs that is, I'm sorry, they're the biggest problem. And you're asking police officers to do jobs that they're not allowed to do. You're asking them to do their job with their hands tied behind their backs. They're the enemy all the time. They are in the wrong, and they have to prove their innocence, right? That's absolutely bizarre world. It's the opposite of what is supposed to happen. The opposite of how it's supposed to work. And if you go back a couple of years ago from Ferguson to what have you, they had these this everything on a loop over and over and over again. And people seriously, when they questioned them, they thought that thousands of black men were being killed by police officers every year. And I think in the year prior to Ferguson, I think 12 were killed in police incidences. Hey, we have to take our first break here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show Monday edition, so we'll do that. 508-871-7000. Jazz is flying the board. So
30 seconds. Sorry.
You know, she'll take your call, she'll get you set up, and then connect you here, and we can do what we're going to do. 508-871-7000. Joe Mangiacotti, stick with us, folks.
In a world as crazy as ours, isn't it nice to know there's one place you can visit for hours at a time to get a dose of reality, to find out how the other half is doing? Welcome to the radio home of Howie Carr. That's me. Visit anytime between 3 and 7 p.m. weekdays.
I had been unable to hear conversation.
I was playing in my family whispering.
I used to spend all the time saying, what?
If you or a loved one can identify with this, the hearing aid specialists Peter and Alex Lee at Professional Hearing on 33 Lyman Street in Westboro can correct or restore your hearing. Don't miss out on what you're not hearing. Call Peter and Alex Lee at 508-366-8686 or on the web at prohearinghealth.com.
The difference is amazing.
If you have a hearing loss and you don't have it corrected, you're losing out.
I would recommend Professional Hearing and Mr. Lee to anyone who experiences a hearing problem.
To find out if you have a hearing loss, call today, 508-366-8686, or go to prohearinghealth.com. Professional Hearing in Westboro. Schedule your free consultation now.
Lower temperatures often bring that little scraping and clawing sound in your ceilings and walls. You know the one. Time to call ProTech Pest Control, the pest extermination service of Worcester County. Fully licensed and insured to handle any job. With ProTech Pest Control, you're guaranteed a quick response with flexible appointments. Enjoy the benefits of living in a pest-free environment. Call 508-757-2409 or visit protechpestcontrol.com.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
Welcome back to the second segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN, reminding you to hit that like button, that favorite on the TuneIn app so that it's easy for you to find and you can take us anywhere. All right, crime out of control. And the next thing I'm going to move into, folks, is I've got to talk about this Border Patrol whip probe. It's been completed. But before we do that, let me go to the phones, 508-871-7000. Ken and Bolton. Hey, Ken, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Joe. I would say that you're going to feel like a broken record with this crime story.
On the crime story.
Yeah,
crime stories.
you obviously
I mean,
have a lot of criminal justice experience, and we're going to see plenty of this for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, I agreed 100%. But I think that the problem, Ken, I don't think lies in the police officers. It lies in the judicial system. It lies in these DAs who refuse to prosecute. It lies with DAs that don't seek bail in this misnomer of bail reform. Bail reform is just another way of saying taking away the bail. Judges should have the ability, and we should get rid of any weak-kneed judges. Right? I get this. I get that sometimes the judges want to give breaks and so forth, but look, there are just sometimes, folks, that people need to be confined and under control. They're not capable of acting accordingly in a polite society, whether that's a medical lockup, or a mental institution, a mental lockdown where they get the appropriate therapy and help, or they're just outright criminals. Folks, some people are just criminals, and that's what they do. And when they get caught, they need to go to prison.
Kind of like the teenagers in Boston. Wouldn't you say? I mean, I think hit the streets about 3 times in the last month. Are they off the street yet?
Teenager in Boston. Fill in for listeners and me, because I'm not sure which story you're talking about yet.
Oh, there's like 11 and 13-year-old girls that are beating up old women, and the police and hit another site in the last few days.
Really?
They're literally making the news about every third day.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I will look for it. That reminds me. Remember those? I forget how old they were, 15-ish, give or take a couple of years. The 2 girls in New York, they hijacked the Uber driver or Uber Eats or Uber driver. I think he was an Uber driver, and the car goes screening and hits and flips, kills him in an attempted carjacking. And they're like 14, 15 years old. And one of the witnesses at the scene, Ken, says that all her concern, she pulled out of this wreck that just killed this poor immigrant driver. He was here legally doing, working hard, right, to make a better life for himself. And all she asks is, "Oh, my phone. Is my phone in there? Got to get my phone." I mean, the disconnect that these youth have, and the lack of respect for life is numbing sometimes. Numbing. And what do we do with so these girls you're talking about, are they under 18? Sounds like it.
11 and 13.
11. Oh my God. So when you are capable of committing a grown-up crime, should you be tried and sentenced as a grown-up person?
Well, if you're talking murder, yeah, but these are juvenile delinquent cases. We got to place them right down the.
Did I lose Ken?
No, I'm still.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that last part. Yeah, I didn't hear the last part. Ken, say that again.
We have a place right down the street from. It literally is a juvenile delinquent detention area, a reform area.
Yeah. Well, there's there's one right there in Belmont Hill in Worcester, right? The juvenile detention center there, right at like UMass. I don't know like what the occupancy is there. Maybe a listener can tell us a little bit about that facility. But it's right there in Route 9 in Belmont Hill, and that's where underage of the minors are supposed to go. Years ago, if you go to the Butler Center at the Westboro State Hospital, that was for juveniles, some of the worst. I was a counselor there for a while at that hospital in the early stages of going after my psychology degree. I worked at the Butler Center, and we had 17 guests, and that was it. But they were bad guys, and they were there for everything, from arson to attempted murder, rape. They were considered the worst of the worst at the time, Ken.
And the question is our system prepared to handle the same type of kids now?
Well, why is there an uptick in juvenile criminal behavior? Let's ask that. Let's
Well,
ask.
this is a simple example, Joe. They're not taken off the street after the first series.
Yeah. So we're back.
First one I heard about, they beat up on a elderly Asian woman.
What is the thing here with targeting Asian and specifically older Asian women seem to be the victims in many of these incidences? And I'm asking, why? Are they targeted because they're Asians, or are they targeted because they're perceived to be easy targets?
I think, Joe, it's a combination of easy targets, and they have a different culture. Asians are aiming to succeed. In many ways, minority culture is really hostile to those who seek out the American way.
Okay, but I think that in my experiences, many of the South American and Latino population that come into the country, I'm not talking about the gangbangers, and I'm not talking about those involved in the criminal enterprises, but the people who come here from South America and those nations are some of the hardest working, honest, other than they break the law to get in here, but they get here and they want the success, right? They want the American dream. That's why they're coming here now. And I know that part of the narrative that's spun out there is that everybody that's coming over the border just wants welfare and free stuff and everything. But if you take a group of people who are living under horrible circumstances, controlled by the cartels and corrupt politicians, there's no jobs. Look at Venezuela, right? The average person lost 24 pounds because there's no food. They're eating out of dumpsters. If you take them from that situation and you put them into the American situation, the American life, they are grateful. And they're grateful because they can work, and they're not going to initially, they're not going to be living like kings, but from what they came from, the fact that they can go to work, probably 2 jobs, maybe 3 jobs without fear, or at least it used to be you could walk the street without fear, and have their own place, right? They're not living with several families. You add all this stuff up, they're thrilled, and they want their version of success. And I understand, I think I understand what you're saying is that when you look at the Asian community, let's face it, as a whole, they tend to be overachievers. If you look at the situation with Harvard, I mean, Harvard got in trouble because they were trying to kind of dampen and suppress the Asian acceptance because they tended to blow everybody out of the stats on the exams and tests and so forth. So they're very hardworking people, and they're high achievers and overachievers. But not all those that come illegally into the country are bad people. Now, Trump said it. They're not sending us their very best, and as a whole, they aren't. But that doesn't take away there are people. So I would disagree to the sense that I think that there are a good number of people who illegally come to this country, and they're not just looking to live off the dole, that they're welcome the opportunity to work hard. I've personally met these people, some of these people. I've watch them build a life here and the struggles that they have to go through by not being legal. This is why I say, when it comes to the immigration situation, folks, it's a two-prong approach that has to be done simultaneously and quickly. And that is secure the border, boom, lock it down. We can do it. Not an issue. Lock the border down, nobody gets over it. And at the exact same time, we have to create a more streamlined process to become a citizen, but also some kind of status where you are in the light of day, Ken. You fly to DC or Dallas or whatever, some designated ports of entry, including on the border. This is who I am. I've got X amount of dollars. That's what you've told me I need to come in here and live here because I can get first, last security. And as long as you give me those working papers, I will work whatever, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. I'll behave. I'll follow the law. I'll check in with immigration. You're not going to have any trouble for me. I'll work. I'll pay my taxes. I'll pay my bills, and we won't be a drain on society. I think that would be a great way to see things happen. But it has to happen all together, Ken. All right, folks, we got to take a break here, coming up to the bottom of the hour. And Ken, great call. Thank you very much.
Have about a minute.
And when we come back on the other side, like I said, we're going to be joined by Kathy Lundgren, and she's the outreach coordinator for Bay Path Humane Society. And we're going to talk about the foster program, adopting dogs. One of the problems, and I talked about this because when we do the Find a Forever Home for Teddy's Friends, and I brought this up previously, and I want to get Kathy's take on this, is when the pandemic hit, everybody said, oh, let's get a puppy. Let's go get a cat puppy because I'm home all the time and I'm lonely and this is wonderful, not thinking it through that eventually they were going to go back to work. Well, we thought everybody was, but as we know, not everybody. A lot of people elected not to go back to work, or they won't take a job that they can't work from home. But the point is, they emptied the shelters, and then people were looking to return the dogs, or worse, when they couldn't take care of them anymore. And that's not a good thing, folks. All right, take a break here. Stick with me. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, AM 830 WCRN. Back on the other side, folks.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
Kathy, are you there?
Here's the latest Boston 25 weather on radio 830 WCRN. Looking okay this afternoon. It's definitely.
Kathy, you there? Hey, Kathy. Hey, Kathy, do you hear me? Kathy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to turn up the feed from the station, and you'll be able to hear all the intro music and everything, okay?
Okay, great.
All right, here we go.
We are a full-service independent agency offering all aspects of insurance to businesses, industry, and individuals. Stop in and see us at any of our locations for a free assessment of your insurance needs. Also, listen to WCRN on Friday mornings at 9:30 for our radio show.
Talk about real estate, mortgages, and the economy on the Drew Mortgage Show, weekdays at noon on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
Worry less with Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty Mutual saved me almost $800 when I switched my home and auto insurance.
Liberty did what?
Yeah, I got the perfect coverage for us, and I didn't have to worry about skimping on Emma's party.
Well, that explains the
Holy! Best birthday ever!
Visit us online to get a quote. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Based on a recent countrywide survey of new customers. Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Don't forget, we're live streaming on the TuneIn app. Do me a favor. After you download it and you punch in WCRN, hit that like button so that it's very easy for you to find us in the future. And you have us on like, which is kind of cool, right? We like that. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation, 508-871-7000. But as promised, joining us in the conversation is Kathy Lundgren, and she is the Executive Director of Outreach. I think I got that right, folks. We'll check with her in a second. From the Bay Path Humane Society, and they do great work. And for those of you that listen to the show on a regular basis, and also you reach out because you tell me you really do like the Find Your Forever Home for Teddy's Friends feature. A lot of the dogs that we profile on Teddy's Find Your Forever Home come from Bay Path Humane Society. So let me invite into the conversation Kathy Lundgren. Kathy, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I am fantastic. And I had mentioned to the audience when I opened the show that on the 30th was actually a pretty big day in the animal world, the National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about
A
that.
busy weekend with that.
First of all, how did that come about? How long has that day been around? And I mean, I think that we can kind of make the leap and understand why it's created. But how long have we been doing the National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day?
You know, I honestly don't know. It's been a date that has been on the calendar for a long time, for many years, and we just kind of jumped on the bandwagon when we saw it pop up as many other those dates that come on the calendar, like National Donut Day and that sort of thing. But
yeah, there's like a day for almost everything.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Excellent.
But yeah, we had a good weekend of adopting out of probably about a dozen animals.
Wow.
And we still have quite a few left, about 24 dogs and 16 cats still waiting for their homes.
All right, great. Let's do one thing first. Bay Path Humane Society, you're located in Hopkinton, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
You're online at baypathhumane.org. How long have you guys been around?
We have been around for about 44 years. We were started kind of by a group of volunteers that were helping to collect stray animals and sort of keep them in their backyard, and we've grown since then.
Okay. And at any given time, how many cats and dogs could you have in your care?
We're a pretty small shelter compared to a lot of the bigger, better known ones, but we probably have about a dozen dogs at any given time.
Got it.
And about 10 cats. So we have a very full house right now.
All right, I have to ask this. Cat to dog ratio. People coming in, do you get more dog people coming in, more cat people coming in?
I would say probably more dog people.
Yeah. Okay. So I made reference to this before you joined us, and I'd like you to address it. And that is the overwhelming rush for people to adopt dogs and animals from shelters when the pandemic hit, when people were home and they couldn't leave, right? We're in lockdown where you can't go out to dinner. You know what happened. And a lot of people thought this was a perfect time to get a dog while they were lonely and locked up in their house. But that's not the best way to adopt a dog, is it?
No.
Or the reason.
No, unfortunately, a lot of people did feel lonely, and they thought, well, that was a good time to adopt an animal. I have time to give them, which we want, especially when you're adopting a new animal. There's always that, we say the 3-3-3 rule, 3 weeks to let them get used to you, 3 days to get used to you, 3 weeks to get used to the house, 3 months to kind of settle in.
Okay.
But a lot of people didn't know what their future was, obviously, with the pandemic, and they adopted and then realized things shifted. And we did get some returns, but we tried to minimize that when we were doing applications to ask, how long have you been thinking of this, and who's going to help care for your dog when you do go back to work. But
Kathy,
unfortunately, we did get a few returns.
Expand on that a little bit about the application process and what it is that you're doing in the application process and why you ask the questions you ask. I mean, because you have kind of you need to do your due diligence, right? And you kind of owe it to these dogs and cats to find the right homes, correct?
Yes, yes. We like to ask some questions that we ask might just seem very ordinary, but there's really a purpose for them. For instance, we ask people, how much do you think the cost of owning a dog or a cat is per year?
Yeah.
And we're surprised sometimes people say about $200 to $500 a year, when in average it's for a healthy dog, it's at least $1,500 up to like $2,000, and that's without health issues. And for a cat, it's about $1,000 to $1,200 for ownership per year, again without any emergencies or health issues.
Sure.
We also like to ask them, when you travel, who will watch your animal, because a lot of people just think that there's doggy daycares and that sort of thing, and not all dogs do well in those types of situations.
True. Plus, you get back to the the cost, right? I mean, if somebody who thinks it takes a couple $100 to to take care of a dog a year, I mean, Teddy's grooming appointments are well over $100.
Exactly.
So now you get into doggy daycare, right? Are you kidding? I mean, that's like getting a hotel room, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Some of them are pretty nice, but yeah, it's almost like childcare at some, at some places to, some of the better places. Absolutely.
So people's financial stability is a concern for adopting an animal then.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why we like to just talk about those types of things.
Sure.
And we also like to make sure that you're allowed to have them, because people will want them, but then we all of a sudden will check with whoever owns their home, if it's a landlord or something like that, then we find out that they're not allowed to have them.
Right.
So we always
And that
ask,
should have really been done before you even decided to get a dog, right? You should know
Yes,
what your
yes.
status and situation is there.
Correct.
Okay, great. So you have a couple dozen dogs and some cats, right, left after the National Adopt a Shelter Pet. Tell us a little bit about who you have around, and we're going to feature one of these dogs on Teddy's feature, by the way, right? You were telling me Mr. Moose would be a good candidate.
Oh, and he's a good character. Absolutely. Moose is part of a group that the Humane Society brings over dogs from South Korea from the meat market, and we don't bring them over ourselves. We're just one of the receiving organizations.
Sure.
And we have 4 of them currently in-house right now, and Moose is one of them. And he's part of a breed known as Jindu, and it's an AKC recognized breed, and it's a dog that is mainly, you'll see them in South Korea, and there's known to be like good guard dogs and that sort of breed type.
How big is Mr. Moose? Like pound
Moose is about the size of like a German Shepherd. They're all pretty good sized dogs that we have right now, but they do come, just like our mutts here, they come in all different sizes.
Yeah. Well, I pulled up a picture of Mr. Moose.
Yeah.
And I see a little shepherd look into him.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
And he isn't just pure Jindu. He is definitely a mix for
Right.
sure. But
Right.
he's a handsome boy, and it's amazing when these dogs come over, they're so shy and they don't know how to walk on a leash or play with toys, and just to see them kind of blossom into
Sure.
these wonderful dogs, it's really cool to watch.
And I want to, and when you said meat market, right, I always get a shiver up my spine, because that is a horrible thing. And for listeners who might not know what that reference was or what we're talking about, they have the Yuling Dog Festival in China every year. And this is literally a market where they grill and eat dog.
Yeah.
They eat the dogs, and this is not a joke or making it's literally dogs are eaten as a form of food, and dogs are picked. I mean, a stray dog is in danger, Kathy.
Yes.
In that nation,
Yeah.
right? If you let your dog out, I mean, it could be scooped up. So they have this festival, and there's been a lot of efforts from people around here from America. I know Lisa Vanderpump from one of those reality show things. She does a big effort. I mean, she flies over there. She's gone in front of Congress to stop this, right? There's pressure on China from around the world to stop this barbaric ritual, this barbaric event.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they eat the dogs. That's just something. How can you look at Mr. Moose or Sophie or Miley or Zinc or any of these beautiful dogs on your web page, and you can't even imagine that, right?
No,
It's
I know.
incomprehensible.
It is a foreign concept to us, luckily.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the adoption process, how they go to the website at baypathhumane.org. You guys, I've been on the site. I can't even count how many times, right? So it's an extremely easy site to navigate. Thank you for that. You guys did a great job. And you can look up the dogs. You can look up the cats. What's the process when you see, say you see Mr. Moose or one of the others? Do you say, hey, talk to us first, or come on down and meet the dog first? Like what's the ideal process you'd like to see people do?
So the ideal process is if you see a dog or a cat that catches your eye, or you read their bio, you think they'll fit into your lifestyle, you would email us at adopt@baypathhumane.org, and that helps start the process. You would tell us, oh, I'm interested in, say, Mr. Moose, for example, and we give you all the information and background that we have on that animal, so you know his health, his behavior, whatever we've seen at the shelter, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could say, yes, still sounds like a good meet to us. We ask you to submit an application, and then we call references or landlords just to make sure that you can have a dog. And we also talk to all the adults in the home, because sometimes, believe it or not, some adults will apply for a dog and their spouse or significant other didn't know about it. So we do call.
Yeah.
And then we invite you down for a meet if the
30 seconds.
Okay. Kathy, I got to break.
Yep.
Do you want to hold for a second through the break and we wrap this
Sure.
up? All right, you can do that. We're talking with Kathy Lundgren from the Bay Path Humane Organization. It's in Hopkinton. We're going to continue on the other side, folks. Stick with us. Back in a moment.
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know of deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8441.
You just may have the best podcast anywhere.
Blah, 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 blah.
But who knows it exists? Hello? Get your podcast to broadcast on radio. Create a podcast. Improve your podcast sound with professional production and editing. Record your podcast in a real radio studio. Visit podcastobroadcast.org today. Get your podcast on the radio with podcasttobroadcast.org. Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge is a shining example of excellence in golf. Shining Rock Golf Club's highest priority is your golf experience, and their award-winning 18-hole luxury and challenging golf course will deliver. And for shining moments and memorable events, the Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge delivers again. Plan your next tournament, fundraiser, or corporate event at Shining Rock Golf Club. Events and budgets of all sizes are welcome. Shining Rock Golf Club Pro Shop, Driving Range, and Bar and Grill are fully open for the season. For the very best in golf, with friendly, experienced service, visit Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge, a shining example of excellence in golf. Call 508-234-0400. That's 508-234-0400. On the web at shiningrock.com. Shining Rock Golf Club of Northbridge.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show. know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show at AM 830 WCRN, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Don't forget, we are now Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays at 1 o'clock, and Sunday morning still at 6 a.m. for your Sunday morning talk block. Myself and Mike Wade and Peter Blute and Jerry Doherty jumps in there. It's a great Sunday morning. Our guest online is Kathy Lundgren, and she's the outreach coordinator. I think I have the title right, Kathy, at Bay Path Humane Society out of Hopkinton, where they're dedicated to providing shelter and care and humane treatment in loving homes. That's the purpose. Find homes, loving homes for stray and unwanted companion animals. They seek to serve the community by fostering relationships, promoting education, and making a positive impact on pet overpopulation. And you identify yourself not as it's a huge shelter, but you guys seem to be a good shelter. And I mean that in the best possible way. You guys are so dedicated to what you're doing there. You have a great system down. And before the break, you were bringing us through that ideal process, and we had gotten to the point where you're saying, you do the application and their phone interview, and you talk, and you're invited down for the meet and greet, right?
Right.
And
right.
And what are you looking for at this time? Is the animal's response, or the animal's kind of taking to you as much as you take into the animal? Or tell me what you look for in that meeting.
During the meet and greet, we usually look to see if everybody's comfortable. Basically, we want to make sure it's a good fit for the animal as well as for the people. If you have an animal already, if you have a dog at least in your house, we ask that you bring them, because we want to make sure they get along, and just watch body language when they meet, and make sure that both dogs would at least be comfortable living with each other, if not best friends.
Right.
If there's children, we also ask that you bring the children down, just to make sure the animal's comfortable around children. We do try to do our best when we bring these animals in. We evaluate them and see whether or not we think they're going to be okay with handling, which means probably okay with children, or how they are with other animals or dogs. We can even do cat meets. We don't ask you to bring your cat, but we can see if the dog, how it reacts around the cats that are in the shelter.
Sure.
We do just a few couple of things depending on your lifestyle too.
And we also know cats always have attitude, right? So.
Oh, absolutely. They have to.
Yeah. They're cats in a dog eat dog world. So.
Exactly.
What can you do? So you were saying?
So it just basically depends on what your lifestyle is. If you're an active person or a sedentary person, what if you're looking for a couch potato? So we just try to figure out the best match for everybody, and hopefully it works and you go home together.
Do you have a lot of people who already have a dog getting the second dog, or they want to adopt a dog just so they help and get them, and take care of a dog instead of them being in the shelter, and you have them bring in another? See, Teddy, and Teddy's attitude is every other animal on the planet is there for him to enjoy. Like every other animal's a pet to him. And he is just absolutely wants to greet and play, and there isn't like a mean bone in his body when it comes to that. And he expects every other dog to have that attitude, and of course they don't always.
No, not at all. And some of the ones at the shelter don't even like other dogs, so that makes it a little harder.
Yeah. Oh, that must be tough for that. I mean, here they are. You guys are only a couple thousand square feet there.
Yes,
yeah.
We are tiny, and that's when we do love to have fosters for those type of dogs.
I was going to ask you, tell us about the foster program that you have, how that works. And it sounds like it's a great way to be able to service more dogs on your limited space and assets at the actual location. So how does the foster part work?
Our fosters really are a huge part of our organization. We have so much respect for them. They put in so much time and effort. We look for foster homes for all different types. Some foster homes, we like to have another animal in the house, because some dogs do like other dogs. Maybe they're just shut down at the shelter. they'll do better with going to a home with another animal or another dog.
Right.
Puppies, they usually do well if there's another dog in the house. And also, if the puppy isn't like too shy, we like to have children in the house too, to kind of just get them off socializing right away with other dogs and children as well.
Now,
and
how
then
does that present logistics? Because if somebody, so some of the dogs that are on your website may not physically be in Hopkinton, they could be at the foster family.
Correct.
So if you want to go see that dog, do you have the dog come to Hopkinton, or do you go to the foster family's home?
It depends if the foster is comfortable showing the dog at their house, and the dog shows best. Sometimes if they get in the car and they're driven over to the shelter, they might be nervous and they may not show as well. But if the foster is up to showing the dog, then and they're willing to, then we have them show the animal at their house, because they'll know the dog probably better than we would at that point. And then sometimes we do the meets at the shelter if they prefer that way as well. So it really does depend on a case by case.
Okay. Now, do you ever have this, and I assume it must happen, somebody fosters one of these dogs, and then when the time comes, they don't want to let the dog go. They got too attached, and they say, well, can't we, we're just going to keep them. Does that happen a lot?
And that happens, and it's great. That dog gets into a home. Sometimes we lose a good foster, but I'm a big foster fan myself, so I know the feeling. I get them in, and I don't want to let them go. So I'm a perfect example of what I shouldn't be as a foster. But some people do actually end up adopting the animal, and that's terrific. And then they get first dibs.
Before, run through the expense of adopting. Now, I know what you're doing. It's God's work here and all, but you can't do it on a shoestring. So I'm assuming there's an adoption fee. And do you get any grants? Do you get donations? Do you have anybody who help underwrite the running of the shelter? How does that work? How do you've got 24 dogs. You got to feed these dogs and take care of these dogs. So how does that work, and what does it cost to adopt them?
Our adoption fee is based on age. So for 6 months, it's $575. And then an adult dog is like $475. And then it gets less expensive with a senior at $375. And kittens are $350. And adult cat is $225. And a senior cat is $175. And with all that comes we make sure all of the animals are spay or neutered. They get all of the vaccinations that are appropriate for, age appropriate. Heartworm test, microchip, dewormer, flea and tick prevention, and heartworm prevention. So they're all ready to go, and we make sure they have a clean bill of health before they get to you.
Okay. Oh, that's important.
Yes.
Right. So you're pretty confident that when you adopt through Bay Path Humane, you are getting a healthy dog up on all their shots and treatments. And again, they've been spay and neutered, right?
Correct.
All right. So they're coming that way. And how do you, I don't want to use the word, it's not a guarantee or warranty or anything, but if a problem develops shortly after they come home, do you work with them, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, a lot of our dogs, if there is a known health issue, we will send them home, and you get that information even before you come and meet the dog.
Right up front, you're adopting a dog that has these issues. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
And then when you go home, there's also a health insurance company that covers them. As long as you put in the paperwork to get them covered, you'll get some health insurance right away, and then you can carry it on from there.
Yeah, Teddy has his health insurance.
Excuse me?
Teddy has his health insurance.
Does he?
All right, you have a monthly premium. We got to pay for Teddy's in case there's a catastrophic, incident, right? You got to make sure that he's taken care of. It's funny, that was it $500 for 6 months or under, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Folks, that is a bargain for a healthy dog. I got to tell. I mean, somebody like Teddy's like $2,500. And then that's what and then I won't even tell you how much the service dog training costs, folks, because you're into the tens of thousands of dollars for that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But $500 for a young, healthy puppy, and you're helping out. Do people ever pay above and beyond to help the shelter out, or do you have anybody that does a monthly thing, like signing up for one of these monthly donations?
Yes, luckily, because we are 100% donations. We don't have any, we don't get backing from the government or anything like that. So yes, we rely really on the generous community members out there to carry us along. Absolutely.
All right. So before we wrap up, run through again one more time how to reach out to you, just how easy this is, and anything that you want people to know before we wrap up together today, Kathy.
No, not at all. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, anytime. You keep us posted on anything coming up. And I think Teddy and I should come visit one day and check out Mr. Moose if he's still there, or whoever else is. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out and joining us.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, folks. Thank you, Kathy. So that was Kathy and Ludgren. She's again with the Bay Path Humane Society, and that is in Hopkinton, Mass. So easy for you to find them online. You just go to baypathhumane.org. Also, if you just simply go to Teddy Goodpup's Facebook page, because we look at these dogs, we profile a candidate. Sometimes we leave the same candidate up for a week or two, but the point is very easy to get to them through Teddy Goodpups. And we're going to put Mr. Moose up this week. So by the end of the day, you'll have a bunch of pictures of him up on Teddy Goodpup's Facebook page, the link over, and that information. I didn't have time to get into this, but I wanted to ask Kathy about those bios, who writes it up and what is it that they're trying to achieve. But if you go to the website, they do a nice job of writing up about the dog, because they get to spend time with it, and they'll tell you, this is a couch potato. This is a high energy dog. They need to get a walk. They're good with kids. They're not good with kids. They're good with animals, not good with animals, or what it is. So you have an idea, not just based on a picture. You're going to be able to get a little background on that dog, and you make an intelligent, informed decision as to whether that's a puppy you would like to adopt. But that's going to wrap up the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. I'll be back Wednesday afternoon, 1 o'clock, of course. Don't forget Political Thursdays at 10, and I'll be back Friday again at 1 as well. So, folks, enjoy this beautiful Monday, and I will talk to you soon. See you on the radio.
This is Full Service Radio, AM 830, WCRN, Worcester,
Awesome show,
Metro
Joe.
West.